Hello everybody and welcome back. So let's get right outside and get right to it, and I'll show you what I've done on the front of the building because I believe this is probably the last week I'll be able to touch it until the spring, unless we get some unseasonably warm weeks, which we might. It does happen occasionally. So let's head out there and I'll show you what we're doing. All right guys, so here we are outside. You can see a lot of the front has been stripped. Essentially everything from here down, which this is a break point, so these stones are individual pieces, and the next top piece right here is that individual piece. So I basically went to that seam there, that line. It's about as what I can reach with my ladder, which is a 16-footer, if you can believe it. This stuff, it's actually quite tall up there. So but this piece in particular I've actually hit twice with the stripper, and most everything is off it. You can see that spalling up there. That's why it's so bright and light. But a little bit of paint down here still. But that leads me to believe that most everything on here needs to be hit twice before it'll come off. That might change with temperature, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But you know, we're gonna try. You also saw I was using a pressure washer after the stripper to get some of it off as well, and that definitely does help. But you have to be careful with it because even a pressure washer can be really brutal to the surface here. So here back in the parlor, I wanted to talk to you guys really quickly. A few of you guys have mentioned, like, why don't you sandblast it? Why don't you dry ice blast it? Why don't you hit it with walnut shells? Various different forms and ways of blasting things. The thing is, it's so much more damaging to brick, especially if we're talking sandblasting. Sandblasting is something you do with metal. Hit stone or brick with it, you're going to basically chisel away that protective surface on the front, the part that's supposed to be hit with water and take it. And you open up lots of little grooves and stuff for ice to form into. That's what I'm trying desperately not to do because it will destroy the front of my building even further. It might hold up for a few years afterwards or a few decades even, but it's not gonna, you know, stand the test of time fully. And I don't want to know what it would cost to redo the limestone blocks on the front of my building. I just can't imagine the cost. So I don't want to do that. Same thing with dry ice blasting. I've actually done some dry ice blasting in the past. I have not been impressed with the results. It just doesn't seem to do a whole lot. Who knows, maybe I had a bad machine, maybe I had bad dry ice, I don't know. But I couldn't get the thing to work, and to rent one of those is absorbently expensive. Renting that one machine for one day costs just as much as all the stripper I've bought, which should be enough to complete the entire front of the building. So it's not more cost effective, maybe it's faster, sure, but you also then have a higher risk of damaging the front of the building. With all of these things that I do in this house, you know, you want to be careful. You want to take the most gentle route possible, at least at first, to get the things done. You know, like, yes, this whole house could go a lot faster if I just rip everything out and put up drywall. Yes, it could go a lot faster if you do that. You'd have a lot more access to things, but that's not what I'm doing here. And of course, you know, when you look at contracts and stuff like that, you know, guys I've talked to, we say, hey, just rip it out and do this. It's like, that's not what we're doing here. You know, that's not why I'm doing this project. And it does make me feel that, hey, it's probably a good thing that I got this building as opposed to a lot of people, because I think a lot of people would just rip it to nothing. So, you know, that's my explanation for why I'm doing it the way I am on the front of the building. I'm just trying to preserve as much as humanly possible and not put any extra pressure or extra damage on it. You know, I'm even kind of wary, like I said, of the pressure washer. There are spots that I've hit where it's not been very nice to the stone. It was already the spalling bits, but it's still not great to see more stone come off than really needs to. I'd rather do that with a chisel, get to where I need to, that way I can make my patches. As far as painting the front is concerned, most of the stone fronts that I've seen here in Lafayette, well, like Lafayette Square, just St. Louis in general, they have been painted, and I'm pretty sure they've always been painted. There are examples of ones that aren't, of course, but many of the ones I've seen have been painted. It's very colorful for that reason. Now, of course, they were probably done with some sort of lime wash, and that lime wash is way gone, and I don't know what kind of paint they have on their stone fronts today, but most of them today are painted, maybe not in the most appropriate colors, but that is how it is. With the patches I have to make, I don't know that I can mimic the stone exactly, and so I kind of don't know if I have an option not to paint it. Of course, I will look into that. I do find that to be maybe it is the best practice. I don't know. However, whatever I do put on the front of the building will at least stick with Victorian themes and the correct color palette and things like that. So just so let you guys know a little bit about some of the questions and stuff I got off of that. So on to the next project. So here in the parlor, I wanted to show you guys what the medallion looks like in here without any light hanging from it. It had a little 70s guy hanging out there, 60s, 70s, maybe 80s style light up there. Obviously wasn't appropriate, so we got that one down. If we head this way, still staring at the ceiling, this is the hallway where that really amazing combination light is. This one's also down. And the one in the kitchen, which is a ceiling fan, is down. The one in the dining room is down. Basically, the reason these are all coming down is to make room and give me easy access to get the new wires in, which will be starting next week. And here is the light, by the way, from up there. It's actually rather tall, but you can see it at a different angle now. I don't know that I've ever gotten this angle, and definitely not ever shown it. And it is dusty. And like I said, I am going to wire the gas jets here with something small like this that I can use. And I'm gonna have to rewire all this stuff as well. Now, one of the viewers, the guy, David, who gave me the paintings and the rocking chair, had sent me a message recommending that I wire the electrical and the gas lines separately. And the reason he said to do this, and actually I'm going to do it, is because I can put the gas lights in here on a dimmer, and I can actually turn the light down to mimic what gas light would have looked like. And I believe I'm going to do that in both the parlors, the hallway, and the dining room. That way I have the option of the gas light look, you know, without, you know, the complications of running a new gas system, which would be absorbently expensive and also kind of risky. So that's what's going on with that. It is kind of sad to see this sitting in a chair here, but we'll get it all polished back up, all put back together. I'll rewire it, and that one will be one of the first pieces, I think, going back up. And man, is it going to be beautiful. I cannot wait to see that back up there with that medallion. Another news down here in the basement, there is a big pile of wire and garbage. This is all one room worth of electrical, and this all comes from the vet's office. So if we head in here, sorry, it's getting a little bit dark, but it should be bright enough for you guys. Kim also cleaned this floor a little bit. It's still a bit dusty, so it doesn't have the bright poppy black and white, but man, is it cool, right? So beautiful. But if we look up at the ceiling, and maybe you guys never noticed this. Let's see if it'll focus. There we go. All of the electrical that was in here is all gone. And there was so much of it up here. The amount of conduit and stuff. You can still see back in this area, there's a little bit of conduit still hanging out of the wall here, which I'll have to go to the other side and cut or pull that out. There's so many electrical lines, security system lines, phone lines, you name it, it was here. So just slowly getting all that out of the way. Also, since you guys really like cool little unique switches, let me get my little flashlight here. I think you guys will really like this one. So see the little off here on this little switch? It's a little turn switch. So if I turn it, makes a fun little noise. And it says off. Well, that one's not painted very well, so let me go one more time around. Again, it says off, it's in black. If I turn it one more time, it'll be light and it'll say the word on. So, nifty little switch. It shows wiring when they used to wire things on the outside of the walls, you know, as a retrofit. So pretty unique. I don't know if I'll be legally allowed to use that switch, but I would really like to use it down here, because down here is actually going to be a bathroom. So you can see I've got some of the plumbing over there. So basically, the little vet's office here will be its own little apartment, and maybe you guys can come rent out and stay in this little area, because I think it is one of the cooler ones in the house. Also had a look here underneath these silly tiles, and found the beadboard back here, which is in pretty good shape, at least on this part of the wall. And yeah, you can see the the wood there. It is rather pretty. Some nice heart of pine stuff like the rest of the house. So I assume this would have been the original. I think these tiles, I think I said before, were probably put up for acoustic dampening of the dogs and the cats that were in this room when they were having surgery and whatnot, which I'm sure wasn't pleasant. But like I said, you know, many a cat and dog were saved down here, which was, you know, it's pretty nice. Makes a nice room. Also, these doors here, I've been checking these out. These to me look like oak, which would be rather nice as well. I think they're the only oak doors in the entire house, except for maybe the pocket doors in the hallway. So that's what's going on down here. Now, one last little thing I gotta show you guys is up in the library. I did a little work on our favorite little fireplace up there, and I want to share it with you guys. So let's head on up there. Real quick, guys, I know it's kind of dark in this room, but I wanted to show you the graveyard of what was the knob and tube highway running here in the kitchen ceiling. So let me point you guys up that way. So you can see a few of the little knobs still sitting up there, the little insulators. Those things are just nailed on there, so I have to pry them back off. But all through here used to be a huge run of wires. If you remember me doing the maid's floor, you were actually able to see some in the one over. In the little underneath the stairs, you can see them back over that way. But as it is now, they're all gone through here. I have enough space now to get my new wires through those old holes, which means no new holes, which will be really nice. And one of the main reasons why everything here has to be replaced, the example of it is in this box here. So we have modern wire here, Romex wire, that is actually threaded into the old school knob and tube wire. And once you have these two mixing, it's not a great look. It does not inspire confidence in me to have these two, you know, spliced together. And, you know, while the knob and tube wire isn't, you know, inherently bad on its own, it's not designed to handle the modern loads that we have. You know, if you were running small lights and ceiling fans and stuff, this would be enough. And also, yes, there's no power to anything in the house except for the 4 outlets. So I'm not worried about getting shocked here. Nothing here's live. That's why I kind of cut and take all this out without any problems. I know nothing in this house is live except for my few little outlets in the basement. So, but this here being the main reason why I have to replace. There's no saving any of this because so much of the original stuff is gone and they've replaced it with modern stuff and just spliced into it wherever they felt it was okay to splice into it. But this is the stuff sometimes that can cause fires because you're using and sending hotter electrical through old wires, and it's not a good idea. So there you go. Okay guys, so here it is, the big reveal of the fireplace. Now I know, it still looks a little bit messy, but you're starting to already see some of the shapes here. Now I ended up doing this with a heat gun. I'm sure you guys saw in the time lapse, but I want to get a little bit closer because it's sometimes somewhat hard to see these details. But I love this, like, it's super asymmetric style here in the middle. Like you can see the bottom, all these little tiny white dots are always there. The little like triangle, pyramid shape here. I mean, it's just super East-like and really beautiful, the little scrolls and swirls. Even all the leaves here are all hand-painted and it's so nice. But this side, you know, these I didn't know were even here because on this side, they're missing. So it's nice to be able to kind of see a more complete picture. The heat gun's definitely the way to go to that. We can see the marbling pattern down here, or the granite style pattern. I think right there is a really good colorway of it, which is absolutely gorgeous. The corner block, which I actually stripped way too far down to the base on the other side, you can see it pretty perfectly here. including all the little white dots on the tips of the well, arrows or whatever you want to exactly call those. Fleur-de-lis maybe, in the little middle block here. But this thing came out pretty gorgeous. Of course, this is not how it's going to stay. I will get the last little bit of paint off of here. And then my plan is, with all this, is to just go ahead and paint in the missing pieces on top of it. So you can see even here, like in the black, you can see where it's more black and where it's a bit gray again. This is actually down to the slate. The paint's already been chipped off. So I imagine when they painted this, this was already chipping, and that's why they went to paint it. At least that's my assumption, because I don't understand why anybody would paint something like this. It just doesn't make any sense to me, because it's really pretty. Like, it's not even terribly gaudy or anything. It's just really nice. Like, there's nothing wrong with this at all. It's really, really nice. So definitely pleasantly surprised on how that came out. I mean, it's obviously came out much better than me and my stripper over on this side. But again, I have the blueprints. I can paint that no problem. It's easy, should be easy enough. I just gotta get some gold and what is like a reddy brown color for this, and of course learn how to marble, because I've never painted anything like that in my life. But I'll figure it out, and worst comes to worst, I can always strip it back off what I did and go again. So I will get it perfect. We'll make it happen. But it's cool to be able to see, I don't know, a little bit of a glimpse into the past of what was here. You know, maybe this was Mr. Brown's study in the beginning. Who knows? It looks kind of like a study fireplace, doesn't it? So, yeah, happy to get this mantle a bit cleaner. Another fun little news, my father brought me some items my grandfather bought me. Starting off with this little guy here, which is actually a tiny little fire extinguisher, which is kind of awesome. I've never seen one so small like that. He also got me some little rock brushes. So these are for like rock climbing and stuff. They're really dense little brushes, but I think they got probably quite a few uses here in the house. Maybe to polish some of the metal items without scratching them. And the main thing is this awesome little step ladder, because I know a few of you guys saw me on the little bucket, and I happen to like my little bucket, but this is a much safer option. So he was worried about me on the bucket and got me a tiny little step ladder. So thanks, Tom. All right, guys, so that's going to be the end of this video. A lot of stuff actually happened behind the scenes this week. There's a lot of stuff with the electrical, along with, you know, just me figuring out how to do it, because I've never wired a house. Wired plenty of models. I know Ohm's law and all that stuff, but it doesn't really apply too much to house wiring. It's a bit more simplified in some aspects and more advanced in others. So I'm kind of getting over the learning curve with that, but I'll have it, I'm sure, here very soon. Also, there's been a lot of planning as far as like where each outlet goes in each room. How do I have to do this? What kind of, you know, do I need floor outlets here? Do I need this there? And so it's kind of figuring out exactly how everything lays out, because I have to get it all right the first time. That way I never have to come back and do it again. So that's the plan right now. There's also a lot of research with repairing the stone, how to get everything off of there, how to get everything kind of back, and if I have to go take this class in Baltimore, or it's just a lot of stuff. Like you guys see me on camera every week, but you guys don't really see the 2 or 3 hours I spend every single night researching one subject or another, trying to figure out to make sure that I do everything as close to perfect and as close to correct as I possibly can. You know, I lose sleep over the idea of messing this place up, so I just won't do it. I always take the, you know, more gentle approach, like I told you guys earlier, to everything I do. And then if that's not working, I switch to something slightly more aggressive and work my way up till I find something that works, but doesn't destroy what I'm working on. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys understand. So, as always, thank you guys so very much for sticking by me throughout this little crazy project. I appreciate you guys so very much. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye.